Today we are going to learn about how to analyze a political cartoon. So I've got an example up here for you, but first I'm going to go over some of the key steps of how to analyze a political cartoon. There's actually a lot more to it than you might think. So the first thing that you want to do anytime that you see a political cartoon is to actually identify both the visual elements and the main focus of the cartoon. So that means you're going to look at the cartoon as a whole and make note of any of the drawings that you see. So take a look at any of the visual elements, people that are drawn, animals, other objects, the setting, the background, any key details that are there. You also want to look at the main focus of the cartoon. So find the portion of the cartoon that most stands out. Usually this is going to be a caricature. That means it's an exaggeration or a distortion of a person, animal, or object with the goal of providing some type of comic effect. Next up, you're going to be looking for symbols. So, for example, you might have seen a different political cartoon where Uncle Sam is used to symbolize America, or a sun is used to symbolize Japan. You might have also noticed that in a lot of political cartoons that have to do with Democratic Party or Republican Party, you will have seen a donkey or an elephant to symbolize or represent both of those. You're next going to look for any distortions or exaggerations in the actual image itself. So take a look at the actual drawing and the details that are presented to you. And you're also going to look for stereotypes. A lot of times political cartoons are going to be addressing different stereotypes. So these are often drawn to help you as the reader identify that visual element. They can also call attention to stereotypes that are outdated or that might be considered offensive. Next, you're going to look for any allusions to a contemporary event or a trend. So sometimes that might be something that is new, voting, having to do with voting, having to do with polling, having to do with different things in government, since these are political cartoons. And the one that we are going to look at for today, you'll notice that on the right-hand side, there is a laptop, and the laptop is displaying a sign that says, "I need an iPhone 5. At the time that this cartoon was drawn, that was actually the newest iPhone. So when this cartoon was drawn, it was actually drawn the week that the iPhone 5 came out. Next, you're going to look for any minor details that might be included. These are usually found in the background, on the sides, and these are usually going to convey minor themes or ideas, but they still contribute to the point of the cartoon, or they're created to draw more humor for the reader. Next, you're going to look at how the visual elements interact with each other. So think about how the different symbols are drawn in relation to one another. Both on the page, if you look at where is the person who is in the cartoon, where are they standing? What are they doing? Are they talking to someone? Are they interacting with someone? Are they interacting with another object? So you're looking at all of the visual elements together and seeing how do they interact with one another. Next, you're going to look at any labels that are included. So some people or objects might be labeled to help identify them. And usually these are placed in a way so that the viewer will know what that object represents. In this particular political cartoon, there are no speech or text bubbles. There's also no caption, but those will also be helpful to analyzing a political cartoon. So for our political cartoon that we're looking at today, if we take a look at just the image itself and follow these steps, we're going to see that on the left-hand side, there's a homeless man. It looks like he might also be unemployed. He has a sign that says, "I need food," and it looks like it's written on a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard. We see that it looks like he's pretty unkempt. He looks like he could use some new clothing and a shave and maybe a shower. And he is seated in front of the Apple Store. So we have to make sure that we're paying attention to the background and the setting as well. To the right of him looks like a businessman who has a sign on his laptop that says, "I need an iPhone 5. Looks like he's wearing business attire, but the way that the cartoonist has drawn his clothing makes him look a little bit disheveled. And we look at both of their faces, they both look pretty unhappy. They both look like they are in need. You'll also notice that they both have either a plate or a hat of some sort in front of them to collect money in for both of their needs. So when we take a look at this, what it seems that the cartoonist was really getting at is some of the stark differences within America. So for example, the unemployed homeless man looks like he has no resources for his necessities. So he has no food. We know that he's probably intelligent. He's standing outside of the Apple store, most likely because he knows that people who are going into the Apple store would be able to provide him with money, food, or some type of resource. The businessman on the right-hand side, we see that his sign is on a laptop. He very clearly has resources for food, water, clothes. He probably has a job. And we see that his economic situation is greater than that of the homeless man. So there's some alluding going on here to the economic situation within America. There's some satire that's happening here, where the cartoonist is really talking about this big gap in the difference between a lower class person or somebody who doesn't have the resources that they need and somebody who's middle or upper class. So it seems as though what the cartoonist's big message is that rather than investing in improving the lives of a lower class American and their economic situation, someone who is middle or upper class would rather splurge on the new iPhone than to help that person out. So it really is talking about the ignorance of the upper class American versus the need of somebody who is less fortunate. When we first look at this cartoon, it's kind of easy to miss that. We might understand the humor of it, but we have to really analyze what the meaning is and what the cartoonist's goal was by following each of the steps that were mentioned before.